These women, they train just as hard as the men do. We inspire as many young players around the world as the men do, and so there's no reason why you need to have 100, 200 to 1 disparity in pay.
My name is Michael Sands.
I'm Jacob Diamond.
I'm Sean Shanamarit.
My name is Anthony Alexander.
Hi guys, we're here with Deja from the women's basketball team. She's a freshman, and we have a couple of questions for her today.
Our group chose to do the topic women in sports because we all grew up playing sports and have aspirations of joining the industry after college. We have become increasingly more aware of the pay gap and the lack of diversity inside of the industry. We decided to take this project as an opportunity to shine a light on the unacceptable conditions currently plaguing the business.
The best paid women's footballer is Marta Vieira da Silva of Brazil, who is reportedly making some $400,000 a year. That's double the reported salary of the next highest earners, Abby Wambach and Alex Morgan of the US. The highest paid men's player, Cristiano Ronaldo, earned an estimated $52 million last year, not including millions in endorsements.
Obviously, there is a pay gap, and I don't think it's fair.
Do you think you are treated differently when compared to male athletes, and if so, how?
Okay, so definitely I feel like that I'm speaking as for me and all the other women are treated differently in women's basketball. Number one is just, simply the fact that women's basketball is taken as a joke. It's not seen as serious as men's basketball. And, for instance, if a guy was like, say he wanted to go to the league, a lot of people were like, okay, yeah, that's reasonable. If I say I want to go to the WNBA, then somebody questioned me like, are you serious? Is that it? Like, what else do you want?
How have you seen race, sexuality, and other identities play a role in oppression of female athletes?
Well, okay, me being a black female athlete, I feel like oppression. I've seen a couple cases of that throughout just like playing. I've been playing my whole life, so it's very tough being a female at that. Like, you're gonna have to work 10 times harder than like the next person, obviously, because everybody looks up to like a male figure. So you're gonna have to work 10 times harder. But me being a black female, you're gonna have to work like 100 times harder because there's no like shortcuts or no easy way out. You have to just work 10 times harder, and that's life. You're just gonna have to accept it, being a minority.
Even though females represent 40% of all sports participants nationwide, they only receive on average about 2 to 4% of all sports media coverage. And then the second pattern of portrayal has to do with the type of coverage within that 2 to 4%. Female athletes, when compared to their male counterparts, are much more likely to be portrayed off the court, out of uniform, and in highly sexualized poses.
Swimsuit Edition was created by editor Andre Laguerre in 1964 to boost sales between sports seasons, and it was a perfect expression of the 60s.
Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition has proven time and time again that society places more emphasis on the sexuality of female athletes rather than their abilities.
But as society moved on, the swimsuit issue not only hung around, it became the magazine's key selling point.
You get basketball, football, tennis, golf, and the famous swimsuit issue.
Now we must focus on how we will change in the future and what we need to do to fix the inequality in sports.
Women's football superstar Brandi Chastain told Christiane Amanpour that she also believes change is coming.
We've grown in such a very short time, so if someone was forward-thinking, they would get on the train right now and say, I'm going to make a big deal out of this because the rest of the world is finally coming around.
Title IX was a huge victory for women in sports, but there's still a long way to go. While it has tremendously helped athletes, it has had the opposite effect on coaches. Prior to 1972, 90% of all head coaches in women's athletics at the college level were women. Today, the number is about 43%. Some of the nation's most influential athletes, including LeBron James, have voiced their opinion on the lack of female coaches in sports.
Female head coach, if she knows what she's doing, we'll love her. And listen, at the end of the day, basketball is not, it doesn't matter. It's not about men or female. You know the game, you know the game. Listen, we have so many female reporters now that know the game and they cover the game. When you look at Doris Burke last night, she's one of the greatest that we have in our game. She knows the game, so it doesn't matter. If you know the game, then everybody's accepting it. And it's the same thing with players. I mean, you have different walks and shapes and lives of players, but if you can play, you can play. You always accept it. If you can't play, you can't play. If you know the game, you always accept it. If you don't know the game, it's all about your knowledge of the game. It shouldn't matter if you're a male or a female.
So, given your experience, what would you like to see happen in the future of the treatment of college and professional female athletes?
I would like to see more women sticking up. Like my coach, she's like feminist. Like everything is female for her. So like she has her own like imaginary group called like the Powerful Women's Club. So like every day before practice, we always like just talk about like what can women do to better ourselves or like help like women's basketball out. And I just feel like once like women start sticking up for themselves and speaking out about it, then it will help.
Our goal in creating this video is to make people aware of the inequalities in women's sports, ranging from the pay gap to the emphasis on sexuality rather than the ability in the athletes. The problems continue to exist even today. Our mission does not end here. We must come together to bring justice to women in sports.
I don't think it's fair, but I really don't think it's going to change anytime soon unless like women start speaking up about it and doing something about it.